with this. Well, my name is Martin HOJSÍK. I'm a member of European Parliament from Slovakia, obviously, and a member of the Envy Committee, as well as working as a substitute in the INTRE and Budget committees. And one of my specific roles within the European Parliament is that I'm in charge of the relationships or contact with the European Chemicals Agency. So the chemicals policy is something that is obviously dear to me and has been involved in this issue for a very long time. Now, at the moment, we have in the Parliament, as a part of the implementation of the chemical strategy for sustainability, one piece of legislation, and that is the CLP, which I'm a shadow for our political group. And we are eagerly waiting and pushing Commission to come up as soon as possible with what we call the REACH 2.0. And I think there are very good reasons for this legislation not to be delayed, for it to be put on the table as soon as possible. And that's something which I was happy actually to share the same view with during the different discussions with the president of CEFIC, and I'm happy to see that this is an official CEFIC position as well. Now, let me explain from my perspective why I think this is a really crucial element for the future of European chemicals industry, but not only the chemicals industry, but the industry at large, and as well as what I see as the key elements of and what we have seen as a parliament in our resolution is on the strategy of sustainability as a key element of the new region chemical policy in general. Now, you might be aware that we have, according to the science, not only bridge limits and have really critical situation vis-a-vis the climate. And I'm happy to say that yes, chemical industry is important element of the dealing with the climate crisis. But that we have also have a serious economic challenges and kind of have breached the planetary boundaries and have emergency in the area of biodiversity. But approximately a year ago as well, the data was finally sufficiently compiled, and the scientists concluded that indeed we have a similar issue with chemicals. And it's not only about the massive elements of a plastic pollution that is now leading to an intergovernmental negotiations on the global plastic treaty, which directly impacts the chemical industry because chemical industry is the main pretty much the producer of the plastics and is involved in the way we deal in plastics in the society, but actually goes beyond just the plastics and is a massive problem with the pollution with hazardous chemicals, not only in Europe but around the world. That's kind of the risk side. We have a clear challenge with hazardous chemicals that we release into environment that are harming human health and that we need to deal with. At the same time, I'm a big believer, and from my point of view, this is also a really crucial opportunity for European chemicals industry because this represents us a really, really big chance to start really developing a proper sustainable chemistry, chemistry that is based on safe by design, but chemistry that is not only based on chemicals that are as much as possible intrinsically safe and that is based on prevention and precaution, but also chemistry that it's linked with circularity, that it's linked with the needs to kind of have reasonable energy use overall, and it can contribute to the energy transition. And I believe that this is a crucial moment for the European chemicals industry in order to keep its global competitiveness. One of the areas I tend to compare it to is actually the situation with the transition in the automotive industry, where we are, let's be frank about it, lagging behind the transformation in the industry that goes on in China. And we have required, the industry has required public investments, and you might have heard about the European Battery Alliance born a few years ago. But it's essential to realization of the strategic mistake we did and the need to catch up in the whole production of an R&D of batteries. And my call and the Parliament's call to really speed up also the REACH 2.0 is aimed at a very simple thing. We need to prevent the European chemical industry from facing the same challenges as the car industry. And we need to encourage the industry really to innovate and I think create the right legislative framework for that. And it's not only about making sure that we don't substitute or replace the hazardous chemicals, but how can we streamline the processes? How can we make a better legal predictability? How can we ensure the direction of the travel, so to say, for the industry early on? And this is a comment I keep on hearing from representatives of different chemical companies. I keep on meeting it, where they are telling me about investment decisions that are on hold because the headquarters is waiting for ultimately the new REACH to come out to say, okay, the direction of the travel is confirmed. This is how it's going to look like. We know we can safely invest hundreds of millions of euros into new production or R&D, and this is one of the actually competitiveness reasons that I think the new REACH is really needed. And it's needed as soon as possible. Now, some of the elements of the new REACH that I think are going to be crucial, and that you can also see in the Parliament's resolution on the CSS, or the Chemical Strategy for Sustainability, are as follows. One thing, obviously, is the key element of sustainable by design. If we work on chemicals in a way and develop new chemicals that are intrinsically safe, then we have way fewer problems during the life cycle, and we actually don't have the challenge of risk management. Second thing is to work on the definition of essential use. This is something which is indeed in the management of hazardous chemicals really important to look at. Is where is it the essential use that actually is really essential for the society? And in our view, the foundation is really well stated in the Montreal Protocol about the fluorinated gases or the ozone depleting substances, which has a very straightforward definition of essential use. Because honestly, to have discussions and arguments and potential legal proceedings where, I don't know, particular shade of red color is really necessary and essential, it's going to be also much more costly for the industry. Second area is grouping. This is something which we've seen, and it's already partially translated in the CLP proposal from the Commission. We need an approach of grouping to streamline the regulatory processes, to not overburden the authorities, but also not overburden the industry. That you have a situation where we have regrettable substitution, or we had seen a regrettable substitution happening in the case of bisphenol E with bisphenol B, and only to find out that it has similar properties, moving to bisphenol C and so on. Similarly, we've seen a regrettable substitution happening in a number of the perfluorinated chemicals. Now we're expecting a restriction proposal from the Commission, but part of the problem was, again, seeing that there are similar properties between the different types of perfluorinated organic chemicals. Still, there was a move by just to slightly different molecules without addressing the actual underlying problems. And I think having a grouping approach is something which will, and that's also the outcome from the chemical strategy for sustainability. This is something which will help, especially also the downstream users, to have a clear indication, okay, these are the chemicals not to go for, but also the indication that we don't need to go and have massive processes for each individual chemical when they can be grouped. Another one which I find is important is also introduced in the CLP are the new hazard classes. Now, specific mention, or is not specifically new hazard class, but I think it's going to be moving towards the stronger approach within the authorization procedure. Although a separate big debate is going to be how the authorization versus restriction is going to be tweaked. This is still to be confirmed by the Commission. Are the endocrine disrupting chemicals? This is something which is seen by the scientists as an increasingly widespread problem. And to give an example, it's a sad thing, but you would be looking at currently at having the average sperm count among the male population of Europe well below what the science has been actually accepting as being fertile. And the scientific community is clear. We have a massive issue in endocrine disrupting chemicals. We need to take a much stronger approach than we did in the REACH 2.0 when they were not under the regime of the mandatory substitution within the authorization approach. And last but not least, transparency. This is where I believe that having not only transparency towards the public, but even more importantly, within the entire supply chain, having better transparency is crucial to make sure that the feedback loop within the supply chain and also the kind of knowledge of the OEMs, so the producers of the final product, about the presence of chemicals, all types of chemicals, only hazardous, within their product is crucial for them to prevent risks, to prevent exposures that are not supposed to happen. And I think this is something where transparency can also help us to drive the innovation towards safer chemicals. To conclude, yes, the Commission has delayed the date of publishing of the REACH 2.0 at the moment for Q4 this year. There has been lots of pressure coming from the Parliament as well as from several member states to advance it. The issue became sadly quite a bit political. There is no doubt about it. So we'll have to see what the exact timeline is. But my big belief is that actually it's not only for the sake of protection of health and environment, but equally importantly for the competitiveness and the future of the European chemical industry and industry at large, important that the Commission doesn't delay the proposal, that it moves ahead with it, and we have a very clear direction of the travel for the industry. Thank you.